You're standing barefoot on cold marble. The torchlight flickers across your face, and you can hear them breathing behind you. 7 witnesses, silent as sentinels, waiting to confirm what Rome demands. Your hands won't stop shaking. You try to hide them in the folds of your wedding veil, but it's too late. Everyone has already seen. Before we go any further, drop a comment and let me know where in the world you're watching this from. It genuinely amazes me that a story buried for 2,000 years can reach someone on the other side of the planet right now. Her name was Flavia, 19 years old, daughter of a respectable plebeian family in Rome, circa 89 CE, during the reign of Emperor Domitian. Tonight is her wedding night. The guests have gone home. The obscene songs have faded into the streets. The ceremonial walnuts have been swept away by slaves. What remains is not celebration. It's verification. Because in Rome, marriage was never about love. It was about legitimacy, about bloodlines, about ensuring that every child born into a patrician household could be traced, documented, and defended in court if necessary. And the only way to guarantee that was to control the bride's body from the very first moment she entered her husband's home. Flavia doesn't know this yet, not fully. Her mother cried this morning while braiding her hair, but she didn't explain why. No one ever does. Roman girls are raised on silence and obedience. The details come later, in rooms like this one, when it's already too late to run. She stands now in the atrium of Marcus Petronius Rufus, her new husband. He's 44, a merchant with political ambitions, a man she's met twice. The house smells of incense and lamp oil. The marble feels like ice beneath her feet, and in the corner of the room, draped in linen cloth, is a wooden statue she doesn't recognize yet. It will be the first thing she's required to touch tonight, not her husband. The statue. The pronuba steps forward. This is the elder woman who orchestrates the entire ritual, half priestess, half enforcer. She's done this for decades. Her face betrays nothing. She takes Flavia's wrist, not her hand, and guides her toward the draped figure in the corner. The witnesses shift their weight. One of them coughs. The sound echoes. Flavia's heart is pounding so hard she's certain they can all hear it. The pronuba pulls the cloth away. Beneath it is a carved wooden phallus, waist-high, polished, smooth from years of use. This is Mutinous Tutunus, the Roman god of fertility and sexual initiation. His name was rarely spoken in polite company. His rituals were rarely recorded, but every Roman bride knew what was expected of her when she stood before him. Flavia freezes. Her throat tightens. She looks back toward the doorway, hoping for some sign that this is symbolic, that she's misunderstanding. But the pronuba's expression answers that question immediately. This is not symbolic. This is required. Ask his blessing, the pronuba says quietly. Offer yourself as tradition demands. Flavia's legs nearly give out. She grips the edge of a nearby table to steady herself. The witnesses watch in silence. One of them is a scribe, holding a wax tablet. Another is a priest, murmuring prayers no one listens to. The third is a physician, a man in his 50s with a leather bag at his feet. He'll be needed later. They all will. The pronuba moved behind Flavia now, hands on her shoulders, guiding her into position. There is no gentleness here. No privacy, just procedure. The ritual requires the bride to sit upon the statue, to receive the god's blessing before her husband is permitted to touch her. It's framed as sacred, but the truth is simpler and far more brutal. Rome needs proof. Proof that she's a virgin. Proof that she obeys. Proof that any child born 9 months from now belongs to Marcus Petronius Rufus and no one else. Flavia does what she's told. Her face burns, her vision blurs. She can feel the wood pressing against her, cold and unyielding, and she understands now why her mother cried. This isn't marriage. This is inventory. When it's over, the slaves rush in. They bring basins of scented water, cloths, oils. They wash her arms, her hands, her legs, moving with practiced efficiency. Flavia is shaking so badly she can barely stand, but no one meets her eyes. They've done this before. They'll do it again tomorrow for another bride in another house. The physician steps forward next. His name is Gaius Lucilius. He examined Flavia 3 days ago, before the wedding, to confirm her virginity. That examination is already sealed in the family records. This one will be different. This one happens after. He gestures toward a low couch near the wall. The pronuba nods. Flavia is led there, still barefoot, still trembling. The witnesses move closer, not to help, to observe, because Roman law demands corroboration. A bride's word means nothing. A husband's word means nothing. Only the testimony of multiple witnesses, recorded and signed, holds legal weight. The physician opens his leather bag. Inside are bronze tools, small blades, clean linen strips. He works quickly, methodically, narrating his findings in short, clipped phrases. The scribe writes everything down, every detail, every measurement, every confirmation. Flavia stares at the ceiling, her jaw clenched so tightly her teeth ache. She tries to imagine she's somewhere else, anywhere else, but the pain pulls her back. The voices pull her back. Rome pulls her back. Gaius Lucilius finishes. He wipes his hands on a cloth and delivers his statement for the record. Examination complete. Virginity confirmed prior. Consummation pending. The witnesses nod. The pronuba exhales, satisfied. Flavia is helped to her feet. Her legs are unsteady. Her hands won't stop shaking. She's led now to the bedchamber, a room she's never seen before tonight. The door is left open. The lamps are arranged along the walls, casting long shadows that seem to move even when no one does. Marcus enters. He looks nervous. Not cruel, not eager, just nervous. He keeps glancing back toward the pronuba, as if waiting for instructions. And that's when Flavia realizes something that makes everything worse. He's been trained for this too. He's been told what to do, how to do it, when to do it. This isn't intimacy. This is a checklist. He sits beside her on the bed. The mattress creaks. The witnesses are still in the hallway, just out of sight, but well within earshot. Marcus touches her shoulder. His hand is warm, but hesitant. He whispers something meant to be comforting, but Flavia can't hear it over the sound of her own heartbeat. She lies back because there's no other option. The sheet beneath her is rough. The room smells like lamp oil and incense. Marcus moves over her, his weight pressing her into the mattress, and the entire time she can hear them outside, breathing, waiting, listening. It doesn't take long. It never does the first time. When it's over, Marcus pulls away quickly, almost ashamed. He doesn't look at her. He looks at the doorway where the pronuba is already nodding, already gesturing for the slaves to return. They come in with fresh linens, more water, more cloths. They work around Flavia as if she's a piece of furniture. One of them folds the stained sheet carefully, reverently, because that sheet is evidence. It will be kept. It will be shown. It will be referenced in legal documents if Marcus ever needs to prove the legitimacy of his children. The physician returns. He examines Flavia again, this time checking for proof of consummation. He finds it. He states it aloud for the witnesses. The scribe records it. The pronuba nods once more. Everything is in order. Everything is legal. Everything is Ramon. Marcus leaves the room. The witnesses disperse. The slaves finish their work and melt back into the shadows, leaving only silence in their wake. Flavia is finally alone, or as alone as any Roman wife can ever truly be. Outside the door, a girl remains stationed, a slave whose vigilance will stretch through the night. Her presence is both comfort and threat. She is there in case Flavia needs anything, or in case she attempts the impossible, to run. In the Roman world, even solitude is carefully policed, measured, and recorded. Freedom is never granted without oversight, and privacy is a luxury reserved for the gods. Flavia lies on the bed, staring at the rough-hewn ceiling beams above her. The lamps flicker, their shadows dancing across the walls in a quiet, spectral rhythm. Somewhere deeper in the house, a water clock drips steadily, each drop a cold, mechanical heartbeat, marking time as relentlessly as Rome marks the lives of its women. She thinks about the statue, carved with meticulous care, its features serene yet demanding. She thinks about the tools that had been prepared, the hands that guided her, checked her, approved her. Every motion, every glance had been recorded, noted, catalogued. Even the sheet folded in Marcus' study waits like a silent witness, destined to be filed alongside grain contracts, property deeds, and other mundane certainties that somehow feel heavier for the weight of what they now contain. In the stillness, Flavia recalls every minute of the preceding hours. The rituals, the measured gestures, the unseen expectations. Her body remembers what her mind wishes to forget. Her pulse, quick and stubborn, reminds her that survival is an act of both endurance and defiance. She closes her eyes and tries to imagine herself elsewhere, yet the house, the bed, the walls seem to press against her, insisting that she remain present, that she bear witness to the transformation that history demands. At dawn, the pronuba returns. The ritual of affirmation begins anew. She studies Flavia's face, the subtle tension in her shoulders, the slight disarray of the bedclothes. Satisfied, the pronuba nods. The girl who entered this house the night before, tentative, fearful, uncertain, no longer exists. In her place stands a Roman wife, documented, verified, and owned. The pronuba's gaze is clinical, devoid of empathy, yet unflinching in its purpose. The transformation is complete, sanctioned by tradition, necessity, and the silent authority of the Roman household. The morning affirmation unfolds in the atrium. Witnesses reassemble in their assigned positions. The physician reads his report aloud, noting what the ritual has confirmed. The pronuba delivers her testimony, precise and unyielding. Marcus signs the wax tablet, a gesture that formalizes what has already been enacted. Flavia stands beside him, silent, her presence expected, her voice unnecessary, an accessory to her own documentation. When the tablet is sealed and placed among the household records, the ritual concludes. The marriage is official. The family line secure. Rome is satisfied. Order has been maintained, tradition observed, propriety affirmed. Yet Flavia is not the same. None of the women who endured this night emerge unchanged. Every Roman bride carries the memory like a scar, a mark invisible to the eyes of those around them, but etched deeply into their being. Some learn to live with it, threading the memory quietly into the fabric of daily life. Others try to forget, to bury the experience so thoroughly that even their own minds cannot excavate it. Still, the shadow remains, persistent, subtle, shaping gestures and glances long after the ritual is formally concluded. It manifests in the way they flinch when doors open unexpectedly, in the heightened vigilance with which they cradle their daughters on wedding mornings, in the queasy recognition that stirs when they pass wooden statues in temple courtyards. Memory, once impressed upon the body, refuses to be erased. And yet in this endurance there is a quiet, defiant resilience. Flavia survives. She exists beyond the control and the documentation, beyond the witnesses and the wax tablets. Her body bears the evidence, but her spirit, her capacity to continue, to breathe, to leave is hers alone. Every woman who survived this night carried that same hidden strength. Rome may have measured them, controlled them, verified them down to the smallest detail, but it could not consume their will to exist. Their survival becomes a subtle rebellion, lived not in defiance against laws or rituals, but in the quiet reclamation of themselves once the eyes of the witnesses are gone. The ritual is over, the marriage sanctioned, and yet the memory persists. In every household, in every courtyard, in the flicker of lamplight or the cold of marble, beneath a bare foot, the echo of that night endures. History, in its meticulous record-keeping, preserves more than Rome ever intended. It preserves not the triumph of men, not the authority of tradition, but the resilience of women, standing, shivering, enduring, and ultimately surviving against the machinery of control that sought to erase them. The historian Valerius Maximus, writing a century after the events, mentioned the ritual of mutinous tutunus only once, and even then only in passing. His words were precise, almost clinical. A custom of the ancestors necessary for the preservation of the family. No flourish, no moral commentary, no elaboration. He did not describe what the ritual entailed. He did not speculate on the fear or shame it may have inspired. He did not question whether it was just or cruel. It existed, he noted, and then he moved on, leaving modern readers with the faintest trace of a practice that had dominated the private lives of Roman women for generations. That silence, as much as any written record, speaks volumes. In its quiet acknowledgment, Valerius captured both the inevitability and the invisibility of the ritual and institution so normalized that even its chroniclers treated it as mundane. By the time St. Augustine wrote in the 5th century, Rome had changed. Christianity was sweeping through the empire, challenging the foundations of its pagan past. Augustine, who spent his life cataloging and condemning the moral failings of Rome, was far less diplomatic than Valerius. To him, the ritual was barbaric, shameful, a relic of a civilization that measured piety and cruelty and tradition and suffering. He did not mince words. Yet even Augustine, who had catalogued the sins of emperors, generals, and senators, could not summon the courage or perhaps the taste to describe the ritual in detail. Some things, he implied, were too grotesque, too private, too visceral for words. Even the man who had condemned Rome in nearly every imaginable moral register hesitated at this singular practice. And then there is Flavia. Her story, unlike those of senators or generals, was never inscribed in marble or remembered in the works of historians. Her life, her experiences were left to the shadows. We do not know if she had children. We do not know if she loved Marcus or hated him or simply endured him, one trembling night at a time. We do not know if she spoke of her wedding night or if she carried its memory silently to her grave, a secret unshared but never forgotten. And yet she was not alone. Thousands of Roman brides, women who lived, laughed, and feared, underwent the same ritual. Thousands of families maintained records, legal or otherwise, that hinted at the ceremonial, bureaucratic, and deeply personal aspects of the night. Thousands of witnesses, slaves, relatives, neighbors, stood in doorways, observed, whispered, and recorded. Every detail of Rome's ritualized domesticity was watched, noted, and archived, even if the specifics were carefully veiled. And here is the irony: the very system Rome built to dominate, control, and reduce women to evidence verification of virginity, preservation of bloodlines, adherence to tradition, was also the system that preserved their stories. Not in the way Rome intended, of course. Not in heroic inscriptions or glowing accounts of virtuous matrons. Rome's ambition was to contain, to regulate, to make women invisible, yet accountable. But that obsession with documentation, with witnessing, with ritualized verification, created fragments, gaps, silences, moments recorded with such meticulous care that 2,000 years later, historians, anthropologists, and storytellers can reconstruct in terrifying clarity what it must have been like to stand in that cold marble room, barefoot, shivering, and utterly alone. We can imagine Flavia, the faint echo of her pulse in her ears, the chill of the stone beneath her feet, the weight of expectation pressing down like armor on her chest. We can imagine the mixture of fear, resignation, defiance, and we can imagine the resilience that all these women shared, the quiet, unspoken rebellion that consisted not of grand gestures or open defiance, but of enduring, of surviving, of claiming agency in the only way they could, by making it through the night. She survived it. They all did. Not because Rome was merciful, not because any law or tradition made allowances for her humanity. Survival itself was the act of rebellion, the statement of resistance. And in that survival, in the records of families, in the faint notes left by observers, in the gaps that historians would later fill, Flavia's story and the stories of countless Roman women endures. It endures because it had to, because the ritual designed to dominate and erase paradoxically ensured that the memory of those women would never fully disappear. Their silence, their fear, their endurance became immortal, etched not in stone, but in the fabric of history itself. In this there is a dark beauty. Rome could attempt to control their bodies, their nights, their legacies. Rome could decree what should be remembered and what should be forgotten. But history, attentive in its own way, retains the echoes. And so, even 2,000 years later, we can stand in that reconstructed moment beside Flavia, bearing witness to what Rome never wanted the world to see.